Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about the newest class that just got added to Maplestory, Xuan. I'm probably not pronouncing it properly, but I'm going to be referring to it as Xuan. It is the Divine Fist, a brand new class that is honestly very cool. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen a bunch of stuff about this class already. This is not a day one video about the class, but I want to talk about whether or not this class is worth playing. What are the benefits of playing this class? Maybe you're on the fence about switching to it, or maybe you don't know whether you want to level it higher, or maybe you just want to hear what I think about it. All of that is going to be covered in this video. So if any of that type of stuff interests you, definitely be sure to subscribe so you can help support the channel. Look forward to many of my other videos as well, and also pull up to the live stream where you can interact in real time and have a good time with everyone. So right off the bat, just from character selection screen, I gotta say Xuan looks crazy. Like, let's say you walked into this and you have never seen this before. You cannot tell me this guy doesn't have crazy aura. Like, it just gives me Mystic Ultimate Gohan vibes. Like, is it just me? Like, it's so cool how it looks just off the bat. Like, even if you know nothing, right? And honestly, that alone could hold a lot of weight on whether or not you want to pick a class. Is just how a class looks. At least for me, to be honest with you. So another thing that I want to mention is that Xuan is a non-KMS class. Basically a class that does not exist in the Korean version of this game. Just so everybody's clear, the Korean version of Maplestory is the base game. Like, that's the main game. That's where most of the development for the game happens. That's where most of the classes are originated. But Xuan is not a class that originates in Korea. So just like Lin, just like Kana, just like Hayato, Xuan is another class that is considered non-KMS. So you're going to hear that all the time, like, oh, Xuan's a non-KMS class. And the reason why that's important is because traditionally and historically, these four classes get less development support than all the other classes. So what does that mean? Actually, before I tell you what that means, I do want to say that me personally, I don't think this is going to be the case forever. I'm actually very optimistic about Team GMS and Inkwell's direction moving forward. I do think that these four classes will get more development and reach a point where they can get pretty much the same development as all the other classes. But what that means typically is that maining any of these four classes, including Xuan, the new one, you're probably going to have some bugs that are going to be part of your class that are going to be very strange. Now, take it from me. I've mained Hayato since 2015. So I'm approaching my 10th year of maining a non-KMS class like Hayato. And throughout all of those years, there have been a myriad of different bugs. Like, sometimes you log in and all of a sudden half of your skills do 0 damage. Sometimes you log in and one of your skills DCs you, or maybe DCs others. And sometimes you log in like a Kana and you're literally permanently banned, right? Now, these are extreme cases. I would say, to be fair, a lot of people focus on those extreme cases. I still mained Hayato for 10 years, right? And I would say most of the time in that time, the class was still like playable and functional, and you could still have a good time and not really worry too much about it. But it definitely is annoying, and it definitely is worth mentioning. Now, also, to be fair, 2025 is not the last X amount of years, right? Like, the game is better now. Development is better. Bugs get fixed faster. So I doubt that Xuan moving forward and all the other non-KMS classes will have super crazy game-breaking bugs like that. Who knows? Maybe I'm jinxing it. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little delusional here. But long story short, the reason why I want to mention all of this is just as a little bit of a warning. If you want to main this class or play it very seriously, you're going to have to accept the fact that there probably will be some bugs along the way. And you're going to also have to accept that all the other classes in the game will learn about their updates probably before you do, since these classes exist in the Korean version, and the Korean version of the game is several months ahead of our version of the game, meaning that they get their updates revealed sooner than the non-KMS classes. Anyways, with that all out of the way, let's actually talk about Xuan, what he does, what's going on with him. Now, I don't want to make this video as like a guide, because keep in mind, my Xuan is only level 200. I don't really want to make a guide on a class that I am not extremely versed with and I don't know literally every single detail about. I like to make my guides be as informative and as accurate as possible. So this is more of like a first impressions and just giving you my thoughts as somebody who's been playing the game for a very long time, especially as someone who has mained a non-KMS class for an extremely long time. Let's talk about Xuan's Link skill and Legion block, which are actually very important to know, because at the end of the day, even if you walk away from this video thinking like, oh, I don't really want to play this class, you probably should at least least get it to level 200. Now, the reason for that is Mo Shen's Legion block is critical damage. So critical damage, just like Shade, just like Hayato, it is extremely important to get. It's one of the best Legion blocks in the entire game to get at least level 200. The other thing is Mo Shen's Link skill is actually best in slot for bossing. So it gives you stacking boss damage that increases as you are attacking. So it gives you a ton of boss damage, and you would wear this over something like Cane Link or Kana Link or Spirit of Freedom or something like that. You would wear this over that because it's actually very, very good for bossing. So you would at least want to get this class to level 200. There is no level 3 Link skill, so you would at least want to get it to level 200 just so you have the Link skill and you have the Legion block. On top of that, if you want, Mo Shen has something called special level up support. Now keep in mind, this is only an event for Mo Shen and gives you bonus resources while this class is new. So this is only during Mo Shen's release. If you're watching this far into the future, this won't be in the game. And I would say it probably is worth getting this character to level 220 if you're somebody who wants extra resources, because these XP vouchers, 5,000 and 2,000 here, can be transferred to other characters. So you could get level 3 links done with that, or a bunch of other resources. Now 220 to 240 is a way bigger commitment. So I would say like probably just stop at 220, even though there is another 10,000 XP vouchers here, which is good if you get it to level 250 in the end, but it is a lot of work. You could do it through dailies and consistent monster parks, but it will take a while. So that's up to you. I would say getting it to 200 is pretty much mandatory for everyone. And then 220 is pretty good if you want the extra resources. So let's just start with using some abilities and jumping around. Like, we're not really going to think about much about what we're doing, right? But the whole point of why I'm doing this is so that you guys can just like see the way that the class looks like just literally from a aesthetics point of view. You know what I mean? Like completely purely aesthetically, like these colors, are they something that you like? Is this something that's interesting? How does this like look like it feels like? All that type of stuff. So you can see that Mo Shen's color scheme is basically black, white, and blue. So if these are colors that you like, then you'll probably think this class is super cool. And it's also like a fighter class where they use like their hands and feet to punch and kick and dash around with pretty good movement, I would say. So just from an aesthetics point of view, I think the class is very beautifully animated. And I do think it's important to talk about this because ultimately when you're playing a class for potentially thousands of hours, you're going to be looking at these animations a lot. Now, some people play with skill transparency on and they don't see their skills. But me personally, I play with skill transparency off most of the time. And I do like seeing my skills, especially when I'm training. I love seeing my skills when I train. And Mo Shen is a class that is very beautifully animated. Honestly, just like the other non-KMS classes, Hayato, Kana, and Lin all have very, very good animations and look very nice. So now let's talk about like a very basic understanding of how Mo Shen's skills work. So Mo Shen basically has combo skills. So you have your two main skills, which is basically your punch and your kick, right? And you'll notice that when you use these skills, some of your other skills, your blue ones, get highlighted, meaning that you could combo the skills together to gain some sort of extra effect. Like for example, when it says Form Link, final damage plus 50%, Form Link, final damage plus 100%. So it's like you get bonus skills for timing the skills properly and comboing them properly. You get bonus effects, and it's pretty cool. If you ever played Final Fantasy 14, it's kind of like how the chain skills work, where like you can use one skill, then it leads to another and leads to another. That's how Mo Shen is, and it's very interesting. So for example, if I press Q and use like the punch one and then press this, it's going to have like a bonus effect that gets added onto it. And I could use this one, and it's going to have another bonus effect. Whereas if I were just to use this on its own, it wouldn't do nearly as much damage. So this is a class that is decently APM heavy, I would say. So it's probably not a very simple class to main. If you're looking for something that's like incredibly simple or something that is just completely brain dead, this probably isn't the class for you. The other thing with Mo Shen's movement is you have flash jump, right? It's a flash jump class. It has an up jump, but what's interesting is it has a bunch of dashes. So you can use these dashes, and if you just hold it down, there is a little bit of a delay, right? And you can use these dashes in any direction pretty much. So you can have really good movement. You could use it after your up jump as well, so to have even better movement. But what's cool about these flashes is if you were to use a dash and an attack at the same time, you can animation cancel the dash to go even faster. So I'm going to press like AW, right? As you can see right there, like I was able to do a double dash pretty quickly because I animation canceled it. So that's another thing with this class is you're probably going to have to learn the animation cancels. Now, again, I don't know all of them. There is a Moshen Discord. There are Moshen guides out there. And if I get more interested into the class long term, then I'll make my own guide. But at the moment, this is just like a cursory overview of the class. Another thing that's very interesting about Moshen is you have a bit of support, is you can give your party members 10% crit damage for 30 seconds, which honestly isn't too crazy, but it is still something. So if you want to have some value in the party, like it does offer a little bit. So now let's talk about something that's really important about Moshen is the burst timers. What type of class is this? Is this a pure DPS class? Is this a burst class? Like what's going on with Moshen? So when you look at Moshen's cooldowns, in particular its 5th job cooldowns, you see this one is 180 seconds, this one's 180 seconds, this one's 180 seconds, and this one is 60 seconds. So what that tells you, amongst all the other skills as well, is that this is a 3-minute cooldown burst class with a 1-minute mini burst. So what are some classes that are 3-minute burst with 1-minute mini burst? Think of something like Evan. Think of something like Lara. They have these big 3-minute bursts, and then they have 1-minute bursts in between to do kind of like DPS. And then you have your combos that you could constantly do to DPS in between. So not only is this a class that's probably going to be a little more challenging to play than a lot of classes, it's also a 3-minute burst class. Now, it would be irresponsible of me to not mention this as well. The reason why this might be a little bit concerning that it's a 3-minute burst class, because I'm sure many of you have heard like all the cooldowns are being reduced to 120-second cooldowns from all the 3-minute bursts. In the future, in the Korean update, they changed the game so that 3-minute burst cooldowns are not a thing anymore. Every class is being changed to either 2-minute or 1-minute burst cooldown. Now you might think, oh, Moshen's just going to follow suit, no problem. I personally agree. I personally think that Moshen will become a 2-minute burst class when that update comes out, and it's not going to be a 3-minute burst class. But there is a reality where it could maintain being a 3-minute burst class for some time before Nexon develops and thinks about the cooldowns for this, because it's a non-Korean class. Usually, historically, non-Korean classes, like I mentioned at the start of the video, have had less development. And because they have less development, getting updated with everybody else, in particular with like cooldowns and stuff like that, can sometimes take longer. So I do think that this class will be turned into a 2-minute burst class eventually. I'm optimistic. I think it'll happen right away, but there definitely is a non-zero chance that it could remain a 3-minute burst class for quite some time. So I do want to mention that. I don't say that to incite fear or make you guys doom or anything like that. I just think it's just good information to give, just so you guys are aware of what the future of the class might potentially be. Again, I'm optimistic, so I wouldn't really stress too much about it, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's like the basic overlook of Moshen. Those are my thoughts on it. The last thing I want to show you guys is the Moshen origin skill, which I think is super cool. So this is the Moshen origin skill, lock in. Personally, I think this skill is crazy. Like, I think it looks so insane. It's one of the best animated origins in the whole game. So again, if you're somebody that likes this type of stuff, like really well animated, super cool looking classes, then I think Moshen is for you. But keep in mind everything that I said in the video so far. Anyways, I do really appreciate you guys for watching this video. Obviously, if you have any questions or if you want to add any input to this video, definitely leave a comment down below. I do appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe. It helps me out so much. And I'll see you guys for another video. Again, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Shout out to my members: Blazefire, Shooms, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Koga, Skittles, Dante Victory, CK, Jay, Kyle, Vampiric X, Fresh and Juicy, Assassin, Henzo, Henrique, and Kelvin. I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you everybody who submitted fan art. You can always submit it in the Discord and it'll be put at the end of every video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.